What's going on, everyone? Ryan here. Welcome back to another video. Today is September 6, 2024. It is start of fall fishing, baby, here in North Carolina. We're heading down to Seaview Fishing Pier in North Topsail. My dad and I are going to do some night fishing for ribbonfish. Ribbonfish is incredibly popular in Asia. The meat is so tasty. I promise you, don't knock it till you try it. So let's get started and do some night fishing.
So to catch ribbonfish, you have to understand how they hunt. They are nocturnal predators, which is why we are fishing at dusk. They swim almost vertically in the water, like in this picture. So they hunt by looking up through the water column for the silhouettes of baitfish against the moonlight or pier lights and zoom up to attack them. They're most often found deep during the day and gradually get more bold and hunt closer to the surface as the sun goes down and nighttime arrives. In Taiwan, there are tons of different ways we target them, but I'll talk about the ways we can fish for them here on the North Carolina coast later in this video using tackle and techniques we can find at our local shops. You'll see that these ribbonfish anglers have LED lights on their rigs to attract the fish. Ribbonfish are not leader shy at all, so it's alright to have lots of hardware on your rigs. I caught this first fish basically slow reeling off the very bottom, so have a look at how these guys are actually quite heavy to reel up.
What is that?
Now, in terms of jig heads, anything from a ½ ounce to a 2 ounce jig head will work. Like today, it was super windy, so I had a larger jig head. You could also use these big grubs. You can use like the Gulp swimming mullet. Those have a scent that the ribbonfish really like. Make sure you're always using a wire leader. These guys, again, aren't leader shy at all, and they have very, very sharp teeth. Look at this one. This grub was bitten and attacked by a ribbonfish. You can see how deep that teeth can cut into the grub, which is why I sometimes prefer the cut bait on the jig head. You basically just tie it on with a little bit of miracle thread and you are good to go. I'll put some links down in the description below. And as for cut bait, basically pinfish, mullet, they aren't really picky, and it's whatever you can catch before the sun sets.
I think so.
Just go down. Almost. Run around.
Excuse me.
That one.
Excuse me, I'm coming over. Look at that. Beautiful fish. Look at him go. Alright everyone, welcome to my humble abode. We are chefing it up for lunch today. Let's cook some ribbonfish. These are super easy to clean. All you gotta do is cut the head off and gut them because they've got no scales, absolutely no scales. So you don't even have to descale them. I like to keep the skin on there. As soon as they die, they tend to start losing that really metallic silver color, but the skin helps hold the flesh in place. The meat is still there. Now look at that side profile here. Look, you can cut them into nice little steaks like this. And although they aren't the girthiest fish, you know, these are kind of flat, but they do make it up in length. Look at the absolute beauty of the finish on this thing. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that.
I'm going to be pan-searing these fish steaks today, and to start the marinade, I give each of these a slight sprinkle of salt on the outside. This will bring out the flavor, and I'll set aside the fish for 5 to 10 minutes while I make an Asian-style garnish. I want a bit of kick to this garnish, so I'll start out with a handful of garlic cloves and grate them down. Next, I grate down some ginger. This is used to minimize any residual fishy or gamey flavor that might be too strong in this dish. Lastly, I add in some cut green onions for the additional color, bulk, and flavor it brings to the garnish. Let's move on to the spices. I start out with a generous sprinkling of powdered dehydrated garlic, enough to scare off a vampire. half a teaspoon of salt. Remember earlier I stressed not to oversalt your fish? This is why. Now the traditional recipe calls for some pure sesame oil, but if you don't have this, olive oil will work well too. Remember the goal is to add only enough for flavor here. We are not frying the fish in this garnish. To round out the garnish, a sprinkle of white pepper powder will add in that additional spice. Stop messing around, Ryan. You can find this as well as the sesame oil at your local Asian store. Mix it all up and you'll need to fight the urge to taste it immediately. I promise, if you give the salt 15 minutes to dehydrate all the herbs we just added, the taste will have so much more depth. On to the pan fry. After a quick wash to remove excess salt, the ribbon fish are patted dry and ready to fry. I start with medium heat and a little bit of oil, then place my fish once the pan is hot. A few minutes on each side until the skin is crispy and brown. It really doesn't take a long time given how thin these chunks are. After about a total of 8 minutes, the fish are ready to plate. I gently lift them without breaking the skin, and voila, fresh fish sizzling with flavor. The garnish we made earlier is then placed on top with love, and we are ready for the taste test.
Let's try it out. Ooh yeah, perfectly salted. It doesn't taste like a brick. It's got just that wonderful salty, fishy flavor. The meat itself tastes really good because look how firm that meat looks. It's not mushy whatsoever. Oh yeah, that's good. Man, this is something people don't fish for. It's nice and fatty as you would expect from a belly part of the fish. We're gonna try some eggs. Never tried ribbon fish eggs before, but we're gonna give it a try. It doesn't really taste much. You can't really taste like the individual pieces of egg in there. Maybe I'd need to cook it a little longer, or maybe that's just the way it tastes. That was an amazing meal, and I don't know why people don't fish for this. Overall impressions, I really like this fish. I mean, it has a reputation of being a bad bait stealer, but it actually works really, really well if you know how to cook it. I would say it's somewhere between a mix of a Virginia mullet and a Spanish mackerel, if you guys even know how that kind of feels. But the meat is really, really nice and firm and white meat. It's really good. Now, the last thing I want to mention is you guys look at these things. This is a bone from the actual fish itself. Now, look, I have a spoon and I'm just gonna. This is a hard piece of bone. This is kind of present throughout the body of the fish. So if you guys want to just like attack like a fillet of this, like just be really careful. Don't bite into this. Your teeth will hate you for that. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you've ever tried ribbon fish. And I will see you in the next adventure. Until next time, tight lines.